Alright, so this is just a shot of the colors we'll be using to make this design. So you can get your colors together for what we are going to create today. It's mostly a rainbow. Welcome back everybody, Miranda Pitrone here, and I have this lovely little rainbow flower mandala that I came up with the other night. And I'm going to do a tutorial today on how you can do this design as well. I am going to do it on a larger piece of stone though, because I think I'm going to make a little welcome sign here with one of my giant river stones that I found. It's a nice big flat piece. So that is what I'll be working on today, and I hope you'll stick around and check it out. Alright, so I just kind of eyeballed where I want to put the start of my design on here, but you can find the center of your stone, and then after you find the center of your stone, I'm grabbing a compass here, just one of these dollar store compasses, and I'm going to try to just kind of gauge how big I want my background to be and see where it's going to fall on the stone here, just to make sure that it's equidistant from both sides and still gives me enough room underneath to write welcome or a last name or something like that. So I'm actually going to push it up just a little bit, mostly because my lettering skills are not that superb and I want to give myself some space down there to actually write what I need to. So I am going to put a black background in the circle that I just created. So I'm going to grab my Decoart paints, and I have this black, which is fantastic. I usually only have to use one coat. And I'm just going to fill in that circle that I just created. One thing also I want to say is if you keep your compass to the same size, it will be easier to find the center. You won't have to remeasure everything of your background here. So while this is drying, I put a little white dot there so it'll remind me of where my center was. Just a little trick. Alright, so for that actual center dot, I am going to use Decoart white, and I'm just using my angled brushes. This one is the Angle Spot Detailer from Princeton, but you can just use one of your larger dotting tools to create your center. I'll go a little bit bigger, I think. Okay, and I'm just going to steal from that center white dot to make our plus sign. And then do the 45-degree angles. There we go. Okay, and the next color I'm going to use is a Christmas red. So I'm just going in between the whites that we just created. Alright, so ordinarily I know I don't use the apple barrel colors, but unfortunately my store has done away with some of the Decoart paints that I use. So I'm having to look elsewhere to find some of the colors that I want. So I have this Diva Pink, which is nice and bright, and sometimes the apple barrels are a little bit tackier, stickier, so you just have to make sure that you pull up straight so that you're not getting goo everywhere. But sometimes they're good, sometimes they're fluid. This one happens to be pretty decent, so some of the colors are getting redeemed. So this is the Diva Pink. And I'm gonna go over the white dot that we did, just above the white dot that we did the first time. See how nice and bright this is on the black too. If you like pink, this is a good one. This stone is from the river, so it's a little bit rougher than the ones that I get from Maine in the Atlantic Ocean or on Lake Erie, but it'll still do the trick. I just have to kind of be cautious about all the bumps and cracks. So that was the Diva Pink. And then the next color I believe that I used in the initial one was a bright coral from Decoart. Pretty sure that's what that is. And that's just going to go in between our pinks at a little bit larger size. So above the red and in between the pinks. And that's the bright coral. Okay, and in between the bright coral, I did a little peaches and cream, but it's a little bit of a smaller dot here. One of those spots I was talking about it being a river stone, that it's temperamental and bumpy, but I think it'll be okay. Alright, so the next color is a yellow, I believe it's just a primary yellow. Yep, just primary yellow here. The Decoart Americanas. So with the primary yellow, I just did little dots on either side of the peaches and cream just to kind of set it up for the white flower petal that I did. Like that. My screen is dirty. I can't tell if it's clear. There we go. Okay. Alright, so the next color is Sun Yellow. And it's going to be a larger dot above the peach. And this is what we're going to draw our little white flower petal around. Oh, and I did it above the coral. Alright, so mine's going to be opposite. It doesn't matter, you could do it above either. But on my first initial one, I did it above the light peach. I was going to try to do the same design, but see, already we've deviated. No big deal. And we'll just do it above the dark, bright coral here. So as long as that's what I do all the way around, then it'll keep the symmetry. See, sometimes I get talking and multitasking is not my friend sometimes. Here, I get distracted and forget what I was doing. There we go. Alright, so that was the Sun Yellow. Alright, so now I'm going to go back to the white that I was using. And this little dainty flower petal that we want to have is very, very light on the white. They're just gently starting down at the primary yellow and just gently curving up to the top. So let's see, if you're using dotting tools, go for the absolute smallest one possible. And then you're going to do, whoop, I just moved my whole stone. You're going to do a dot drag. So very lightly, and then drag the dot up over the yellow. I'm actually going to have to turn my stone for this so I'm not slipping all over here. So at the primary yellow, and just go out and a little bit around our dot, and then up over the top you make a point. And then when the points come together, you have a little petal. I need some kind of different setup for my camera, but that's what I am saving up for. Is to get a better camera and some rigging so I can put it up over so you guys can still see me painting. But that's my first goal with my Patreon community donations, is to go for a camera that allows me to have software where I can pause it and splice together videos, and then also to have some sort of stand where I can put it up so you can see a lot better. And if you're not familiar with Patreon, that is a art community website that I have joined, and you can become a part of that too if you would like it. I will put the link on for my art community in the description of this video. And that'll also open up access for you to see the videos that I do first for tutorials. You'll be the first to get the videos. Certain tiers, you'll be entered into giveaways to win prizes. And the first giveaway that I'm doing is actually going to be including one of these paintbrushes. So that will be for August 2nd. And I think that's the last petal there. Okay. So the next color that I'm going to grab is going to be a grasshopper green. Great names they have, huh? And that is going to be what we do our little leaves in here with. So I'm going to let this white dry, and then we'll start the little leaves. Okay, so for the grasshopper greens and our leaves, I'm just going to get a little bit on the brush here. And this is my personal preference. You don't have to do it in this order, but I usually start with the middle leaf so that I can kind of gauge it at the same height as the flower petals. And then just gently push down and pick up. And then we'll do the side ones. Just give it a little bit of arc, connect them. And it's just a gently push down and pick up. So on the center, about the same height. And probably, if you're using your dotting tools, it's going to be a smaller, very small tool, the smallest one you have to drag. I don't know if I have any right here. Dotting tools. You would want even smaller than this. The smallest stylus end that you have. Let's see, maybe this pink one. It's pretty small. Or like I have my etcher where I broke the end off. That probably would work the best, as you have super tiny. Just get a little bit on it each time and do your little drag in towards the center of the flower. So about at the top of this petal. They kind of look like a little cactus. And again, this bumpy stone is posing a challenge, but it's okay. So, top of the petal. Some of these I pushed down a little too hard, so the paint kind of came off. So I'm just gonna touch those ones up so that they have their full color and that you don't see any black through them that way. Okay, now for the larger, it is a turquoise, just the Decoart turquoise. And I'm just a crazy paint loader, so my brush, you know, is empty there, and I just get it right up over onto the ferrule and everything, so that it's just totally covered. That's why I think a lot of people think I'm using some sort of paint pen that's filled, but it's not. It's just an overloaded paintbrush. So, and then basically I'm just drawing a circle with the paintbrush if you want the larger dots. But those of you who are using dotting tools, you can go for your larger ones. And at the top of each of the green, I'm just putting a turquoise. So you can see it's completely covered the bristles, everything. I'm just dipping it as far in as I can. Also, it's partially because I'm admittedly maybe lazy and don't want to go back to put more paint on if I have to. Just have it kind of wicks off, like you have your dotting tools. It just comes off the ferrule also. Then I'm not having to go back and forth to the palette to constantly put more paint on for a larger dot. Also, time is of the essence. When I have a baby sleeping, that's probably the only time that I get to paint without being interrupted. So I gotta put him down and paint away. There, so that is our turquoise down. And I'm actually, while these are still wet, rather than letting them dry, I'm just going to steal from the dot that we just made to do the little ones that are graduated in size around it. A lot of you have been calling it walking the dots. So as you start at the top, they're larger, and then you kind of let the paint work off whatever tool you're using until you have less at the end. So you get the graduated sizes. And it's the same with the paintbrush. Even though I reload, sometimes it's the pressure that I put down on it, I guess. So even if you reload, you're just pushing harder for the bigger dots. And then letting up as you come around to make the dots smaller, but also it is that the paint is running off of the paintbrush. You have less. I love how even these little individual ones look like little flowers in themselves. Alright, so that was the turquoise, and the next one I have is spa blue. So it's just a much lighter bluish green, and we'll go around those same dots again with another round. Just a little bit bigger ones this time though. So with your dotting tools you might want to jump up a size for the stylus so that the ends with the ball are a little bigger. Alright, so next I used a color called, Cool Blue. And we're just going to do 3 dots at the top of each of these little designs we have here. On each of these, we're doing 3. So, 1, 2, 3. That's like a larger one at the top, and then 2 little bit smaller ones off to the side. And one more here. Okay. Alright, now we're going to go back to our white and do a large dot at the top of those 3 ones that we just did. Should have put a wet paper towel on mine today. It took me a little longer, so my paints are getting a little gooey. I might have to re-pour it here. Okay, so this is where we should look right now. Kind of like a snowflake. Okay, so now I have a bright purple from Decoart, and that is going to be the first of our swipes. I think I did this background a little bit larger than the stone I worked on last night, so I'll have to figure out something afterwards, but at least you'll get the basics of this design. So I get a huge amount on it. Let me see if I can show. This is my purple. I'm literally just scooping it up like a spoon. And don't let it drip on your project. But then we're going to go above the white and push down, and then drag it down into the space that has the tip of the white flower petal. Like I said, the stone's a little bumpy, but we'll get the idea here. I'm collapsing my stand. Alright, sorry for the technical difficulties. So I am scooping up the bright purple. We are starting above the white, and then we're coming down in between to the top of the white petal. On my brush that time, so I'm just grabbing some more because this is a long way to go. To the top of the white petal. So at the top of the white, and then down in between. And this just takes a little bit of practice, and it'll become kind of muscle memory the more you do it. And just take your time. And if you need to, you can always reshape it with the black, redo it. After you scrape the paint off, just go over it with the black and you can redo it. Okay, and our other swipe on the left is going to be with this blue harbor. And it's a shorter one. I'm actually going to start at the white dot that we made. And then bring it down in to the same area. Okay, so we left off doing the blue harbor swipes on the opposite side. And you're just taking it from the white dot and slowly going down to meet the other one. So right from the white dot, Alright, now the next color that I use. Alright, technical difficulties there, sorry. So the next color that I have is an ocean green, and that's from Decoart as well. And that's going to be our large dots that go around the outside to kind of make it look like leaves. So we're going to go for a fairly large dotting tool if you're going to use a dotting tool, and if not, we'll go for a pretty big dot here. And I'm going about the same height that we did the white dots. Alright, now also while these are still wet, I'm just gonna steal a little bit from, well, maybe not that one. Steal some from it, and I think we could probably fit 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, maybe 3 dots down like that. Just to kind of give it that illusion that there's leaves going behind the flower type thing. And it kind of gives a way to connect in the green. Alright, also we're going to dot around each of these. Just like that. We're going to do that on all the green dots all the way around. Alright, so we should be about here after we finish the greens all the way around and then do 3 rows of the dots with the same color of the ocean green. Alright, so let's see. Next was grasshopper, which is the same green that we used for our little leaves in the center. Excuse me. And I'm going to do medium-sized dots on either side here. Let me see. So we'll do maybe, like I said, this design's a little bit larger than the one that I did on the stone, so I might have to add a couple things or make them a little bigger. Do that. Make these a little bigger here, I think. Okay, and now I have a light purple. I believe it was called Wild Orchid. Nope, I'm wrong. That one was too dark. So I actually did go with another of the apple barrels. And this one was called Lavender Sachet. And what this one is going to do is kind of highlight our large swipe of the purple. And just give it a little bit of pep. Just make it a little brighter. So in essence, all you're doing is making a tiny swipe within the bigger one. Just like that. And we're going to do that all the way around. Okay, so I just hit one because I'm rushing. I have family that wants to play a game, but that's just gonna have to wait for a second until I can finish this up, but I'm rushing, and you can see here I stuck my finger in it. So this basically works like the background, except we don't scrape the paint off. So I'm gonna go back to the bright purple that I have for the base underneath. And I'm just going to cover that up. I might even just leave that, and then I'll just make a little light purple tail after. But I nicked it. So, alright. And while that is drying, I am going to move on to the Spa Blue, which I don't think, yeah, we used for the lighter dots here. And I'm going to use it to just do a highlight dot in the middle of all the turquoise ones that we did earlier. Just to help stand out a little bit. Also, as I said earlier, this stone has some cracks and bumps and stuff, so you can see some of the paint is cracking too in the middle here, so that's a little secret to cover that up so we don't see the paint cracks. But also what you can do beforehand is you can coat your stone. You could always do a coat of varnish. There's kind of like little plasters and things that you can seal it up with and sand it down so you have a smoother surface. But I don't bother with all that because it's rocks and I just want to go as natural as possible with it and see what kind of little adventure it takes me on. So, but that sometimes means dealing with cracks and things that pose a little bit of a challenge. So it's not a big deal. We'll make it work. And I just put top dots on. So that purple that's darker is going to have to dry for a little bit before I try to put any light purple over it. So in the interim, I did a spring green, early spring green of the Decoart, and that was the last of my design on the stone that I did earlier around the outer edge. And so all that did was connect these two with a little type of, just kind of like a little tiny swoop up here, like that, and a little one like that. And then I just did that all the way around. Alright, let us try to finish this. I've had technical difficulties with my stand today. Okay, so after you have finished all your little greens, I just touched up my purple one, wherever it was. I think it was that one. And we did our top dots, and that is the completion of the design that I showed earlier on the stone here. And I'll see this one was a little bit smaller because I got all the way out to the edge on here. So depending on the size of your background that you did for yours, you might have some space, you might not. But that's the basic design that I created, my little rainbow flower design. And I think that it came out pretty good. I hope you enjoyed painting it with me. And if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them down below. If you are looking for my other videos, I have a whole list of them on my YouTube channel. And I look forward to interacting with all of you in the comments. So please feel free, constructive criticism, ideas for future videos that you would like, and anything else that you just want to say. I really appreciate all of you, and I love checking in to see what's going on. So also you can check out my Facebook art page, which is P for Miranda Pitrone, and some people have been posting their results from doing some of the YouTube videos recently, and they're coming out fantastic. You guys are doing a great job. I'm so excited. Swipes included. They're looking awesome. So keep up the great work, and I hope you all have a great night.